Hey, what's up? This is Martha D. Staub with That Hashtag Show, and I'm back to review episode 9 of Star Trek Lower Decks titled Way de Jay. And we're coming down to the very end of this, and I'm really excited because this episode really adds that progression with the Packlids. Basically, what's going on here is that the Cerritos crew is now in a vast area of space, and Captain Freeman's like, you know what? This is R&R time. There's really nothing going on out here. Let's relax. Well-deserved R&R. So, of course, the lower deckers already have plans, and poor Boimler doesn't. All the lower deckers now have bridge buddies. Rutherford's hanging out with Lieutenant Shax, Ensign Tendy's hanging out with Dr. Tiana, and of course, Mariner's hanging out with her mom. And Boimler's like, you want to hang out with me? She's like, no. Captain Freeman, she knows. My mom knows that I have nothing to do, so she's using this time for us to hang out. And so it kind of leaves Boimler, kind of like, well, I have no one else to hang out with. And he says, I really wish I had like the social constructs of like the binaries or Klingons. Like then I would have other people to hang out with. And it's kind of interesting because this episode actually gives us a sneak peek into other species, other aliens, lower deck life. So we actually get to see a clip of a Klingon bird of prey called the cheetah. We get to see their lower deckers, and one of their lower deckers actually gets to do bridge duty. And so it's interesting to see how different cultures of aliens are interacting with that type of life. We also get to see a Vulcan cruiser. This one is called Chaval, and we get to see their lower decks crew. Of course, there's always a lower decker that steps outside of the line a little bit, and we see that in both of these alien species. So during this time, Boimler is just trying to figure out who he wants to hang out with since all his friends are busy. Boimler tries to hang out with Lieutenant Kayshon. That doesn't work. He then decides, let me crash on my friends and see what they're doing. So the first stop, of course, was to crash the pottery class that Lieutenant Shax and Ensign Rutherford were in. Boimler gets Shax mad. He's like, did you learn how to throw pots on Bajor? And Shax is like, what? Shax is about to kill him. Rutherford talks him down and he says, put the anger in the clay, Papa Bear. Which I think is really sweet because last season called him Baby Bear. And so then Boimler decides to crash Dr. Tiana and Ensign Tendy's rock climb. And Dr. Tiana's a cat, so she loves that. And Boimler comes in with like these hover boots, and he's like just flying through the air, and one of his boots fails and he falls. Ensign Tendy's like, well, at least the safety protocols are on in here. And she's like, are they? Don't know. She kept climbing. Boimler then goes and tries to hang out with Mariner and Captain Freeman, and we see that they're doing their own thing. And so like a lot of personal things are coming out, and Boimler's like, nope, I don't want to be here at all. Back to the Packlids. The Klingon bird of prey that we saw at the beginning with the lower decks team, they actually meet up with the Packlids. I tell you, the Packlids don't disappoint. They make me laugh all the time. And we see that there is actually a partnership between the two. They've been working together. The Klingons have been supplying weapons to them. The lower decker from that ship was like, hey, a Baruvian bomb, they leave Metatronic particles behind. Like, someone's gonna detect that. And sure enough, here's the Cerritos because they've detected it. And now they're like, okay. They start to get into this altercation. Fantastic space fight. I love it. The Cerritos becomes under very heavy fire. It looks like their shields are just not holding. They just keep going further and further. And out of nowhere, a Vulcan ship, the one we saw at the beginning of the show, comes in and helps save the Cerritos from the fight. One of the lower deckers, of course, had a program to disable the Packlid ship, and it worked. Packlids fled. And so now we get to see that there was actually a death on the Klingon ship. The captain got killed by the lower decker and he became captain. Lots of interesting things here, lots of progression with those lower deckers. Congrats to those guys. But now we make sense. Now Captain Freeman's like, okay, well now we know that the Klingons are helping the Packlids, and so now we got to inform Starfleet because there's going to be a lot of talk going on at the Klingon High Council. The lower decker on the Vulcan ship, because she did so good, her superior decides to send her off to Starfleet, pretty much where she needs to be. Boimler, I love Boimler, but he's such a nerd, and it's so hard for people like Boimler to make friends. And a young person comes up to Boimler and says, hey, you know, Commander Ransom says you're the best person to help with my organizational skills. Commander Ransom actually ends up helping Boimler with his friend situation and actually sends someone over to get some help from him with organizational skills. So Boimler now has a friend. So that's good to see some progression outside of his usual clique. And we wrap the show on a Borg cube and we see their lower deckers and they're just sitting in their conduits and they're just regenerating. So would have loved to have seen what they were gonna do. But that is the end of episode 9. So we are coming towards the tail end of this. The show is fantastic, loved it. So let me know what you think. Leave your comments, like, comment, share. I'll respond back if you leave a comment, and I guess I'll see you for the season finale of Lower Decks. Take care.